I'm not sure about you, but I think that sounds very fantastic. So I want to know more specifics, so that's the emphasis of this video. Let's go through the details of universal high income in this video. First things first, if you've been following the videos on the channel for some time, you've probably heard me discuss universal basic income. Universal basic income, GBI basic income, continuous monthly audits, regular checks, stimulus checks per month, or whatever we want to call it. All of them are basically talking about continual, unconditional checks, but now we have another universal one to add to the list. High level of income. I don't know about you, but out of all the names I just mentioned, my favorite is all-encompassing high level of income. The problem is, if we're going to receive monthly checks in the future, why not make it a high income? I mean, really, if they're going to go to the trouble of sending checks in the future, let's at least make sure their big checks for everyone is correct. Anyway, I want to go over the specifics with you, because this is actually very, very intriguing. Here's the thing. A lot of well-known individuals have already stated that this must be implemented immediately, because if you wait too long, it will become too late once more. Let me discuss the specifics of this universal high income and what they're talking about right now since, whether we like to admit it or not, we are being taken over. I've discussed this in previous videos. Whether you believe it or not, it's happening right now. We're being taken over. I'm not here to spread panic, but let me explain what's happening. I'm not talking about aliens, by the way, so let's speak about it. Just before we dive in, I would much appreciate it if you could do me a major favor and click the subscribe button that is located directly below the video. It's completely free to do so. There, a large subscribe button is once more waiting for you. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm always here to support you. Every day I watch the headlines and all the news and information that comes out lobbying on pointing everything out, conducting the necessary research, and highlighting any opportunities you may be able to seize. It's a difficult period, and I believe that at this moment, most of us would be content to receive a high universal income. Nice, right? Well then, exactly. Thanks for coming along. I sincerely appreciate your support, as does everyone else in the community. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so below. Thank you very much. Let's speak. The details are correct. Thus, this relates to all of the other subjects as well, including UBI, GBI basic income, and continuing checks. Whatever we choose to call them, they are all essentially the same thing. Though there may be some slight variations, they are all essentially the same. Money with no conditions attached, similar to the stimulus checks we received a few years ago, which were essentially payments with no conditions attached. In other words, we received a payment and were free to do with it as we pleased, keep it, or it made no difference what we did with the money. We could spend it, give it away, pay off debt, cash it out, or stuff it under our mattress. They just handed it to us and said, "Here, please do whatever you want with it." Just your option. Although, as I mentioned earlier, there are currently over 100 distinct guaranteed basic income systems in place nationwide. They are still being implemented. In fact, I learned about another one this morning. There are high-profile individuals in California who they are also paying these payments to. I'll identify them right now, whether you like him or not. Okay, so there are a lot of them that show up on a regular basis, speaks about this, and is fully in favor of the idea that we should take action now before it's too late. Musk Elon. Okay, so whether you like him or not, I'm a big fan of his, and think he's brilliant. I enjoy hearing him speak. He's got a lot of fascinating stuff to share. But he's already discussed this universal high income idea. Let me explain. It's really the same thing. It all boils down to the spread of artificial intelligence. This brings me to another subject I've discussed previously. Elon is talking about artificial intelligence, AI, which is essentially incredibly sophisticated computers that can eventually replace people in almost every job. He just doesn't know when this will happen. And once more, no one really knows when, but AI is evolving so quickly right now that he's essentially saying that eventually AI will replace humans in almost every job. I realize that's a really bold and aggressive statement. It's insane to see what's going on in the world. To put it another way, almost all jobs, well, maybe not every single job, will be completely replaced by robotics, powerful computers, and artificial intelligence, AI. Many industries are currently experiencing severe disruptions, and this is only the beginning. Artificial intelligence is still very much in its infancy and hasn't really reached the public yet. Still, the field is evolving quite quickly. The entire concept behind this is that, as this line has discussed and recommended, we need to create this universal high income. In other words, what this basically means is that, in order to support everyone, we must create some kind of income, because all these occupations it won't be too far into the future for jobs to be replaced, or a tremendous huge percentage of jobs will be replaced at some time. So we need to provide a high enough living wage for people to survive. If we don't, if being said, imagine for a moment if everyone loses their work and has no financial support. What will we do, you ask? Not much, right? A substantial number of people will find themselves in extremely difficult financial situations. Thus, it's not only Elon, and once more, there are many others. In fact, there are members in Congress at the moment who have proposed that we create a guaranteed basic income or some sort of income that is set aside for those in this circumstance. Well, he's not the only one who has brought this up. A lot of others have been saying the same thing lately. Before it's too late, we need to create a guaranteed basic income across the country, because that's when we're going to witness this enormous upheaval. The economy is going to witness a massive loss of jobs very quickly. If they don't have a proactive plan in place to deal with this before it's too late, we're going to have a problem. Enormous problem on our hands. And that's precisely what they're recommending here. When all of this will occur, no one can say for sure, but at the rate that artificial intelligence is evolving at the moment, and the rate that it is truly growing, it will be rather quick, okay? A few years, that's all. Again, I'm not talking about 20 years. In that time, the economy and everything we see here in the United States, as well as globally throughout the world, will all be completely different. In 20 years, the landscape will be completely different and insane. I predict that in about 5 or 3 years, our world will drastically change, and that there will be a tremendous invasion of AI. In fact, a lot of people have been speculating that by 2028, roughly 3.5 years from when I filmed this, well, maybe not quite 3.5 years, but let's just call it 4 years to be precise. Decent enough, 2028. That's not too far off, let's say 4 years. We're going to witness enormous disruptions in the local and worldwide economies due to AI. So we're already witnessing this, and, well, it's just a matter of time until something like this is something that occurs. So it's interesting to observe, but this is the most recent addition to the list, which is global. High income, so not just a basic income. And now let me also highlight the many basic incomes. There are currently a number of different guaranteed basic income plans available, the majority of which set aside $500 each month. While $500 is a nice amount, rest assured that we will accept it. It is insufficient for most people to survive on at this time. It simply isn't occurring. You couldn't possibly survive on $500 to cover all of your costs, and anything like if you were financially accountable for everything, including accommodation, food, transportation, medical care, clothes, and everything else. Your healthcare payments and copays are all covered by your insurance. If you paid everything off with $500 a month, you would receive nothing at all. This is just not feasible, which is why Eileen and other individuals are advocating for a universal high income. To create a space that is truly habitable, $500 is not enough to live on. $3,000 is certainly livable, but it's not particularly high. We're talking about $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 or something like, which would genuinely be a living wage for many individuals. Keep in mind that there's additional deductions that can be made from this, possible taxes on that, and living expenditures that are rising almost monthly, as we can see from all of the inflation that we're currently facing. Does that make some sense? Yes, I realize that everything that is happening is insane, but this is the reality of the new world we live in, and it will only become larger and accelerate as long as we continue. Going forward, I will continue to keep a careful eye on everything, and I will definitely let you know about any updates I learn. It's all quite intriguing, though, so perhaps this is helpful.